Welcome to my final project with my reflection on the learning that I have done in this course this semester. Purpose of this final project is to review the projects that I've completed this semester and give an overview of what I did in these projects. These projects covered 4 different learning theories for adults. The first one is the main andragogy. Then we discussed experiential learning, and then transformational learning, and finally explored embodied spiritual and narrative learning. My process for completing each of these projects was the same. I began with researching the theory that I was going to do the project on. Then I read not only the textbook, but other scholarly peer-reviewed articles that would assist me in creating then the workshop or lesson that I put into the project. And finally, I delivered my final project. The andragogy learning theory project was based on time management. This project had 3 objectives: to identify a student's current responsibilities at home, work, and school, create a schedule that allows ample time for work activities, home activities, school assignments, and personal downtime, and then learning how to adjust the schedule. This was based with andragogy in mind, based off of our textbook, where we talk about the self-concept of a learner, that adult learners are accustomed to being independent and know what they need when they need it. The adult learner has prior experience. They have a wealth of knowledge, and we need to use this knowledge to help them. And then their motivation to learn. They've chosen to attend school for a specific reason, so we can build off of that with this lesson. In this project, students would make a list, watch a video on time management, and then make a schedule and engage in group discussion to evaluate that schedule. Next project was on experiential learning theory. In experiential learning theory, I chose to focus on growth mindset. With growth mindset, the objectives were to recognize the student's current mindset, understand what growth mindset is, identify any barriers to growth mindset, and practice strategies. The rationales are that students can return to an experience that gave them a negative feeling, attend to those feelings, and then reevaluate the experience. The design for this course was for students to write down the details of the experience, including things like where they were, if they can remember anything about the teacher in the classroom, the color of the walls even. And then work on defining mindset, identifying their feelings about this past experience, and then addressing those feelings to move forward with a growth mindset. The next theory explored was transformational learning. And this was done through exploring our inner voice. The objectives for this project were to identify an individual's current voice, confront that current voice, reframe those statements, and then practice those skills. The rationale for this behind this learning theory is that there is a disorienting dilemma, a critical reflection, a reflective discourse, and then action. The design of this study included students writing down the negative statements that they tell themselves about how they are as learners, using you statements, and then exchanging these statements with a partner and reading the statements to each other. This ties back because it's very powerful to look at another person and say, you are not good at learning. You are not good enough. And then have a group discussion to talk about how that made us feel to say those words and to hear those words. And then turn around and reframe those statements into more positive affirmations. And finally, I explored embodied learning theory. And this was based on creating visual lessons or lessons for visually impaired learners. I currently teach a student who is visually impaired, and this is what was my motivation for this project. And I explored the mind-body connection where we can actually learn through tactile means, and it can create a different level of learning as we're doing this. And so I created this project as a workshop for educators to explore what the various learning tools are for visual learners or visually impaired learners.